So here we are. Another season of the Bachelor Pad premiered last night. And wow. All I can say is 3 hours is way too long for a premiere. I felt like my IQ dropped about at least 100 points by the end of the 3 hours. I was just exhausted and it was very overwhelming. So I hope the other shows are only at least 2 hours long. I really hope every episode isn't 3 hours because I just think that's way too much. But I suffered through it because I wanted to watch it and I wanted to recap. So let's get our recap on. I think probably one of the biggest reasons why the show was so long was because of the first hour being spent just kind of getting the backstory on everyone and hearing about Jake and Vienna all over again. And on Jake and Vienna, I don't even really know what to say because I feel like the whole show was about them. And then you throw Casey in there and it's just weird. I just don't understand why Jake and Vienna are even on this show. They must have paid them a lot of money. I don't know. But as far as Jake and Vienna go, I think it's interesting that she's dating Casey. I also think it's interesting that Casey now looks like the Incredible Hulk, whereas before he was just a little shrimp. So that was interesting to see his new look. And then also Vienna's new look, the shorter hair. I'm not a fan of it, to be honest. I think she looked better with longer hair, but I'm not a fan of Vienna, so I don't really care what she looks like. So that was just a bunch of awkwardness, and the awkwardness continued kind of through the rest of the hour. Basically every arrival into the house, there was someone else there that they didn't want to see, and I just thought it was way too awkward. I almost had to change the channel just because the awkward moments of people meeting everyone was just too much for me to handle. But one thing I was really proud of was the person who broke up the awkwardness, and that is Ames. Good old Ames. He's back again. He was on Ashley's season of The Bachelorette, and we saw him go home because of his robot-like actions, and he just wasn't romantic enough and all of those things. And so I think it's good for him to be on the Bachelor Pad. I think he'll be really good at the show because he is very smart. And to win something like this, you have to be very strategic, and I think that Ames will be able to do that. So I'm kind of rooting for him on this show. But he actually was the one to break up a lot of the awkwardness. I don't know if you noticed, but every time someone came in and was greeting everyone and then there was an awkward moment, you have Ames over here in the corner be like, hey, I'm Ames, and just coming in there to meet someone. And so I thought it was great that he was the one breaking up the awkwardness when usually Ames is the one kind of bringing the awkwardness. And Ames is also much better at being more romantic because just a few hours later, we're out at the pool, and what do you see? Ames making out with Jackie. And you know what? Wow, Ames, I don't know where that came from, because when he was on The Bachelorette, he just really didn't show his feelings, and now we've been here in the house, 5 hours? And Ames has already got Jackie. So, I think that's great. I think Ames has really come leaps and bounds since his last time on the show. So I'm really proud of Ames, and I'm excited to see where he goes in this competition. I think he's going to go far, though. So, Team Ames, you got my vote. Next up, I guess, after all the arrivals and stuff, we had to play a little skanky game. I thought the game was, kind of dumb, but it looked very physically intense. I felt bad for the people, and I'm surprised that they all lasted as long as they did. Of course, it comes down to Jake and Vienna fighting each other, and Jake wins, which I was pretty surprised. I thought that Casey and Vienna would probably win, but they didn't. Then, of course, Vienna got mad at Casey for not doing what she wanted, and, they had a hot tub fight, typical, whatever. So then everyone kind of just starts getting their strategy going and figuring out who they're going to vote out, and Jake and Jackie got to go on their date. Which I thought was interesting. I felt kind of bad for Ames, though, because I know he has his eye on Jackie, but I think it'll be okay. So, yeah, they went on their date, and they kind of came up with, a way to make teams and get rid of Vienna and Casey because they felt that they were the strongest team, which I think they are pretty strong. So that was a pretty good move. And Jake and Jackie had one extra rose to give out. And we all thought it was going to go to Gia because Gia's kind of like Jake's only fan in the house. But Jake decided to give it to Vienna. I don't even know. I think this just shows that Jake he's an idiot. I'm sorry. I mean, I know a lot of people like him. A lot of women thought he was just the greatest guy when he was on The Bachelor. I never did. I was never a big fan. But I don't know what he thinks he's doing giving the rose to Vienna. He thinks he's going to show her that he is a good guy. I just don't think it works like that, Jake, but whatever. So he gave the rose to Vienna, which I think was ridiculous. And then, of course, Gia's upset, and I just felt bad for Gia. I mean, you know, made me sad. So anyways, after he gives the rose to Vienna, then he decides he's going to have a little conference with Vienna and Casey. I about fell off the chair, you know. If I wasn't already so tired from watching the 2.5 hours of show, I probably would have changed the channel because it's just ridiculous. Like, what is this? The Jake and Vienna and Casey show? It was crazy. I'm just like, Jake, what are you doing? So he goes in there and he tells Vienna all the things he should have told her when they were breaking up a year ago. And, you know, Vienna's like, I'm fine, I'm happy, this is old news, whatever. And then, of course, Jake comes outside for his interview. He starts crying, per usual. And he says he feels like a huge weight was lifted. I don't know. I don't even have words to describe it. I mean, I didn't really see a weight being lifted while I was watching. I don't know. Maybe I just wasn't really, was I watching the same thing that he was saying? I don't know. I really didn't see it. I think it was just a huge waste of time. I don't know why Jake is trying to be friends with Vienna. He obviously still has feelings for her, but, you know, if you have feelings for someone, you probably shouldn't yell at them and, you know, go on national TV and break up with them. And Vienna, I feel like you could do better, Jake. So, whatever, you know. I just hope one of them leaves so we don't have to watch all of them fight and be awkward all the time, because I just feel like there's so many other things going on with the show. So, you know, rose ceremony, to give out the roses. We say goodbye to Allie, who honestly, I don't even remember her. So, I mean, I don't know why she went home either, because she didn't get any camera time. But so we said bye to Allie, and then, of course, Rated R had to make a big exit again. He had to top his clomping through the fields with his broken foot exit that he had on Allie's season. So he decided to take Jake's rose and make a run for it and talk to the guys and, you know, just make an idiot out of himself again. So Rated R succeeded in that, and that's it. You know, we said goodbye to everyone. We saw the previews, and then we saw a little glimpse of the Phantom. I mean, I don't know, is the Phantom gonna be in the Bachelor Pad house? Was he just there to be creepy? Your guess is as good as mine. There's no telling with the Phantom. But overall, I'm excited to see where the season goes. I hope there's less Jake, Vienna, and Casey airtime. I don't even know who else was really in the house, because all I remember is them bickering and fighting and crying and being awkward. So hopefully that will change, but I'm really excited for the rest of the season, and we'll see what happens next week.